Hi friends, Dr. Renee, the women's holistic health expert, back at you today for the final video in this series where I'm talking about stress again. Yes. For the final video on stress for the month of April, which is National Stress Awareness Month, I wanted to talk about what foods you can eat to actually help you with your stress. And this is something that everyone can do. And as I said in the first two videos, I am always food first. What does that mean? I always recommend that you eat your nutrients in your food if possible. But like I said in the first two videos, it is so hard to get all of the nutrients that we need for our bodies to function optimally and to help with stress when we eat the regular foods that we usually eat, which are packaged and processed, not nutrient dense. But even when we eat a whole food diet, my friends, honestly, the soil is so depleted in nutrients now. Not only that, you think about it, I live on the East Coast, right? A lot of my food comes from the West Coast or Mexico. Think of that, how long it's on a truck getting to me. How long it's sitting there and every day losing the nutrients as it's traveling across the country, right? So I am a big proponent of food first. However, there were some key vitamins that I talked about in the first video that I recommended to all of my clients because essentially everybody's deplete in them. In the second video, I talked about a couple key supplements and herbs that I recommend to most of my clients. And in this video, let's talk about some foods that you can eat because let's be realistic. Your diet actually can worsen your stress level, okay? If you are eating that high sugar packaged processed diet, my friends, please consider changing your nutrition if you struggle with stress and anxiety. And even depression, because what you put in your mouth dictates a lot of what's going on in your body. All right. And I know everyone has a bad day, but if you have a bad day every day and you're feeding your symptoms with a very nutrient deplete, highly processed and highly inflammatory diet, that's really not going to help your stress levels. So that's the first key here. So I always recommend a whole food diet. And the gut microbiome, yes, the bacteria in the gut, because we do have bacteria in our gut. We have good guys, we have bad guys, but we want to make sure there's a nice balance between the two because they are the link between what we eat and drink and how we feel, okay? So gut health is so important when it comes to mental well-being and mental health, all right? So essentially, we want to eat foods that are non-inflammatory to our gut, so whole foods, no added sugars, no processed or packaged if possible, because we want that balance of bacteria to be nice and healthy and robust, okay? And, I was going to talk about probiotics in one of the videos, but I didn't, and you have to attend my 5-day mini course in my holistic health group. It's called Hack Your Health, the Stress Lab, whereby we talk all things gut and we talk all things probiotics. So if you want more information, go to drreneewallenstein.com and follow the link to my group, or send me a message and I'll get you a link right to the event. So we're not going to talk anymore about gut health and probiotics, but it's so important. It's really important that you know that the bacteria in your gut are important, which again, you can take a probiotic, which this video is not talking about supplements, but you can get probiotics in something called fermented foods. And those are foods like sauerkraut, kimchi, kombucha, just make sure it doesn't have any added sugar or really high in sugar, and yogurt. And essentially those foods contain the good bacteria that are going to help colonize your gut and help you make those things like serotonin, like GABA, the things I've already talked about, the chemicals that make you happy and make you relaxed. The gut bacteria are key in making those. So you want to make sure you have a healthy balance of good bacteria so you can make those chemicals, so you can be happy, you can be, cope with your stress better. Another food that I really love to help with stress is dark chocolate. So dark chocolate actually has both a chemical impact and an emotional impact because just think about it. When you're stressed, what do? You grab chocolate, right? Just make sure it's dark chocolate because there's more health benefits to dark chocolate. The higher the content of cacao, so say it's a 80-90%, the more health benefits, okay? The lower, the milk chocolate doesn't have as many health benefits. But think about it. So you're stressed and you take a piece of chocolate. it feels indulgent, right? So you automatically get that, like that feeling of, I feel calmer, I feel less stressed, right? But there's also a very real reason why it does it. It contains antioxidants that actually help lower the level of the stress hormones. So there is both an emotional component and an actual physical component as to why it can do that, all right? Here's the problem. Moderation is key, okay? You can't eat an entire bar or 2 bars of dark chocolate every day because then you're gonna have issues with your weight, okay? You're gonna wanna make sure that you have your serving size, maybe depending on the kind of chocolate. My favorite is Who Kitchen chocolate. You wanna make sure that you don't overindulge too much in the dark chocolate. You just want, and quite frankly, what in my opinion, I feel like I am so much more satiated with dark chocolate than like milk chocolate. Like I only need of that whole Who bar, like 1 or 2 little squares, and I am satisfied. I am done. I can walk away. And you also want to make sure, I just told you my favorite, but you want to make sure that there's not a lot of added sugar in your bar. You want it as clean and pure as possible, all right? And I have to just give one little caveat with taste. The higher the cacao level, the more bitter it tastes. So like a sweet spot, if you're trying to transition, I would say start titrating up. Start with maybe 60%, then go up to 70%. If you get up to like 90%, you're golden, but it does have a much more bitter taste, which is maybe why it's also not as, you don't crave more because it doesn't have that sweet taste. So another thing that I absolutely love are avocados. Avocados are a must if you are feeling stressed. They are not only delicious, but they are an amazing source of a healthy fat called omega-3 fatty acids. And actually omega-3s have been shown to reduce stress. They've been shown to improve your mood. And they have actually been shown also to boost what they call concentration, focus, right? So have an avocado in the morning for breakfast. It's actually going to help you function well throughout your day if you're working, help keep your stress level down, and really help make you happier overall throughout the day, all right? And again, avocados, they are a healthy fat. So again, everything in moderation, guys. I'm not telling you to take these and like go overboard and have 5 avocados a day. However, you know, it'd probably be safe to have a half to 1 full avocado. And the reason I say this, and I'm all about healthy fats, I don't do ketogenic. I do think there's drawbacks to ketogenic. But if you're not balancing your carbs and your proteins, you're going to get too much fat if you're not watching the other 2 macronutrients. And that's going to actually make you gain weight. The last thing I want you to do is to watch this video, take these recommendations, overdo it on some of the foods I'm recommending, and then gain weight, because then you're going to be really mad at me. And the last thing I want to recommend are nuts. I love nuts. They are full of B vitamins, which we talked about in the first video and why they're beneficial, but they're also full of healthy fatty acids, which we just talked about, which help reduce your stress. And actually the nut of choice that helps the most with stress are pistachios, believe it or not. There have been studies that show that they actually help reduce stress levels. But once again, like everything I've talked about, because all of these foods I've talked about, except for the fermented foods, are higher in fat, but they're healthy fats, right? But you have to, everything in moderation. If you overdo it with the nuts and the avocados and the dark chocolate, and you're not watching your carbohydrates and your protein, which again, I don't think you should overdo it in any one food group, I do think you might get yourself into trouble as far as weight gain, all right? So the last thing I want you to do is to do that. The other great thing is, in addition to being a great source of B vitamins, they're also a source of magnesium, which we also talked about in my first video. Magnesium is a natural muscle relaxant and actually has direct effects on your adrenal glands, which are the little glands that produce the stress hormone cortisol. So you get a double whammy with nuts. You get the B vitamins and you get the magnesium. Boom, right? All right, guys. That is all I have for you today. I gave you 4 of my favorite foods to consume to help with your stress level. Once again, take caution with the amount, everything in moderation, don't overdo it. These are good things, but too much of a good thing is not always a good thing, especially when it comes to your weight, okay? I hope this series on stress helped you. I will tie out my series of stress for the month, and we'll be moving on to a new series for the month of May. Okay. Hope you enjoyed, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you for joining me.